Hey guys, thanks for tuning us in for the 69th episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests on this episode include Kel Mitchel. We'll be talking about Deliciousness, which premieres tonight on MTV. We'll also visit with comedian and author George Wallace. We'll be talking about his new book, Bulltwit and Whatnots. And we'll also have our monthly visit with our good friend Meathead Goldwyn. We'll be talking holiday gift ideas for the grill lover on your Christmas shopping list. And our final guest of the episode will be singer and songwriter Bernie Nelson. We'll talk about his new single, and he'll play it as well, Make It Back to Texas. If you would, please take the time to subscribe, drop a like, comment, leave some feedback, and of course share with your friends. Our first guest, you might remember him all the way back to his day on Good Burger, Kel Mitchel. He's going to be on Deliciousness, which premieres tonight on MTV. First off, Kel, thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh man, thank you for having me. This is awesome. Celebration.
Not a lot to celebrate this year, but a premiere in December of 2020 leading up to the holiday season and all that. And Kel, how cool is it to put some smiles on faces this year?
Oh man, we definitely need it, and Deliciousness does deliver a lot of smiles. It's the perfect show for foodies and the perfect show for, we've all done it. Like, we try to get a recipe really right, and then we end up messing it up somehow. Or we're bringing out a platter of food, end up tripping and dropping the platter of food. So it happens during the holidays. And so we're just like shedding the light on those moments and just like cracking up because, laughing all together because we've all done it.
Now, Kel, coming in on the show, we actually talked to Tim earlier last week about the show. Coming in, how long did it take to get a camaraderie? I mean, I know most of you guys knew each other coming in, and how long did that take to get that feeling of camaraderie, if you will?
Not long at all. I mean, like the first episode that we recorded, of course, you try to see like how the chemistry is going to be. And then, like, I'd say towards the end of the first episode as we were recording, it was like a big family. Like, we've all seen each other on our different shows, and we've all known each other. I know Tim, and it was just hilarious. It was great. And then also, I'm a big fan of Saved by the Bell, so that was cool, too, as well, to be able to work with Tiffany. In the office too, Angela. So it's been awesome. Yeah.
What has 2020 inspired you in life? I know that you're always thinking and always changing things around. What inspiration have you drawn from this year?
Oh yeah, man. Like, it's been a definite time to find the joy in everything. That's what we've been doing. This is a time where now we can spend more time with the family. Find different things to do. And we've been doing a lot of that, and then those things, because we've been so busy with so much that's been going on, now it's time to all right, during this time of quarantine, do some of those things that, we put to the side before, let's do that, and so we've been just finding that time, and it's been really good.
Now, coming in with a new episode coming on tonight, what are you doing extra special tonight? Are you going to be like live tweeting and things like that?
Yeah, we're definitely going to jump on Instagram. We're going to be doing that. We'll be on our socials. We've been posting a lot of stuff all week. MTV's been doing great too with the promos. We're just loving it. Deliciousness is going to be super, super fun, and it's a big event, so it's going to be all week. And it's around the time where everyone's eating as well, so that'll be good. So you can eat while you're watching it, because if you watch this show, you're definitely going to get hungry.
And you're going to spit part of it across the room, probably, right?
Right.
Other than Deliciousness, what else you got going on? I mean, man, you've got so many slashes after your name. I mean, actor, comedian, musician, producer. What is new and upcoming for you right now?
Yeah, man. Well, I'm also executive producer of All That on Nickelodeon. We bought the show back. This is the show that I got started on. So, and it's been great. We got 8 new kids. And it premiered last year, and it's been doing great. So we're just having fun with that. So still doing that as well. I got a book coming out next year. That happened during the quarantine too. So, like, I just was journaling a lot, and that turned into a book. So, yeah, just doing a lot of stuff.
and I know that you do a lot of outreach with youth and kids, trying to be an inspiration. This year, obviously, you've had to kind of change that up. And my big question: what has been your big technical gaffe this year? Give me a technical gaffe you've had in 2020.
Well, also too, I'm also a youth pastor as well. So I've done stuff on social media, and that's funny because on social media we go live with the sermons. And I remember one time I was live, and my daughter was just in the background, just daddy. Entire time while I'm like right in the middle of a prayer, which is super, super funny. So I was like, yeah, so that could definitely happen when you have a house full of kids. That they will bust in on your live Instagram.
that is right. Now, Kel, of course, if folks want to find out more information, got the show specials all week long, and of course where they can keep up social media wise, live on Instagram this evening.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely have our Deliciousness MTV Instagram, and then also MTV's Instagram, which is MTV, and then at I am Kel Mitchel, you can go there as well, and then watch the show tonight. It's going down, Deliciousness.
And that's right. Well, Kel, it has been great to visit with you this morning. I look forward to the show. Been watching the previews for weeks, so looking forward to that tonight. Hope you have a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year as well, my friend.
You too. It's been a pleasure. Happy holidays.
Up next, one of my favorite guests, George Wallace, comedian, actor, and now author, got a brand new book we'll be talking about, Bulltwit and Whatnots. George, first off, thank you so much for taking the time, brother.
Are you kidding me? Thank you so much, man. I tell you, this is the holiday season, and I get to talk to you and all of those great people out there listening to you this morning. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. That's what Mr. Roberts said. That's what George Wallace is saying. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and if you see someone without a smile, give them yours.
There you go. And George, 2020 has made everybody do things a little different. And who would have ever thought that your social media would have taken off like it has this year, George?
You know what? There's a reason for everything, and I thank God for that because I'm so blessed. During this pandemic, I'm at home. I'm incarcerated. I'm insulated. I'm locked up. I'm locked down. I'm quarantined here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was able to write the book in the last 8 months. And the book is called Bulltwit. Bulltwit is just little ramblings from my head, online ramblings, thoughts and venting from my head. And it's just a lot of fun, a cute little book. The quality of the book that's what I'm excited about, the colorful book. And it's about just things in me saying what things I'll straight up do. Like I'll shout out. Here's one of my jokes in the book. Shout out to the top 5 jacks in the world. Carjack, flap, phone, crackerjack, and hit the road jack. Okay? So, let's go back to crackerjack. Now, when we were kids, don't you think crackerjack has made enough money now to put a real prize in that damn box? Let me ask you a question. Wouldn't that be nice if they had a real diamond ring in the box every now and then? Even if a kid, or a certificate for something.
They would be better than what we got, right?
Exactly. Buy me some peanut and cracker jack. I don't care. Buy me some peanut and cracker jack. Why buy peanuts? Peanuts come in the cracker jack box, don't they? I'm a little crazy. And why do they sing that song, Take Me Out to the Ball Game? What do you think you are? See, little thoughts like that come out of my head. I'm putting that in the next book, okay? Ladies and gentlemen listening right now, if you need a nice little book, a table book, but nothing but laughs, and when your guests come over, Bulltwit. So you know what that's already, Bulltwit and Whatnot. GeorgeWallace.net. Do that, and I guarantee you some great laughter will come your way, because that's what it's all about. I'm Dr. George Wallace. I just love to make people laugh and make people happy. And when you see happy people, it makes you happier.
That's right. Now, George, were the ramblings a part of just you kind of helping yourself get through what 2020 has been in the first place?
Yeah, 2020 has been a little crazy. It has made me crazy, and I'm confused and I'm concerned, but I'm so cautious. Like, my daughter came by to visit me last week, and I live on the 25th floor, right? And I waved at her from the 25th floor, social distancing. I told her, keep moving. Closest you're going to get. I'm very concerned about this. I'm staying inside. I'm trying to stay safe. And I'm in Atlanta. I don't know whether you've ever been here. Well, I call it Wakanda, Atlanta, Wakanda. Have you ever been? You're already laughing. Stop laughing. That's an inside joke. Wakanda, that's an inside joke. Stop laughing. You know why he's laughing, people? He's laughing because there's so many black people in Atlanta. Africans get off the airplane in Atlanta and they go, whoa! I've never seen this many black people in my life. There's so many black people in Atlanta. They own everything. Black people here, they own Chinese restaurants. They got pork chop, fried rice, oxtail fried rice. There's a lot of black people, and they're rich too. The black people. Let me tell you. Have you ever heard of a gas station called BP?
I have.
That's black people. Black people on that gas station.
I had no idea.
I'm in Atlanta. It gave me a chance to sit down and write the book. And if I can in any way make people happy, that is my job. People are going through a lot of stress and whatever, but my job, God has blessed me to try to create laughter and put laughter in your life. Because, when you stop laughing, you stop living. There's nothing better than a smile on your face. Even, I tell you what you do right now. Everybody listening right now, just go ahead and smile. I guarantee you can't even fake a smile without feeling better. Ooh, I should be a motivational speaker. like my favorite comedian in the world is. You know who my favorite comedian in the world is, right?
Jerry Seinfeld.
No, Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen is the best comedian in the world. Seinfeld is an idiot. Okay, let's make that perfect. That's my best friend for 45 years, and people don't know that. And I have to explain it. I'm gonna explain it to you. People don't know that I'm that real George in the Seinfeld. So I'm the one that was his roommate. I was his roommate for 13 years. I was best man at his wedding. I am the father of his kids. So let me tell you something. Seinfeld, he's an idiot, but he's my best friend, and I can't get rid of him.
That's good stuff. Now, yeah. How has 2020 shaped the comedy for you? Has it made it more work for you to kind of keep things bright and cheery, if you will, George?
Well, I do that anyways, but I'm at home. Like I said, I'm at home doing nothing inside for 10 months in my condo in Atlanta, and and even me, sometimes I can have a low level of a depression because my life is different. I love to travel. Normally I do 250,000 miles a year traveling on airplanes. I love airplanes. I love traveling to foreign countries and enjoying life. And I love to lie about things. Like I was in Dubai yesterday. Have you ever been to Dubai?
I have never.
The world's tallest building, 160 stories tall. If you jump off that building, you have like 3 days to change your mind. So I'm going to put that joke in my next book, Bulltwit, more Bulltwit. But yes, if you need a good laugh, and I got Wally Bird on front of the cover there. That's Wally Bird, and we talk a lot of Bulltwit there, and you need to have some fun in your life. I'm pretty good at saying Bulltwit. I hope I never... I never make a mistake. It's pretty close. That's why I did it. I said, let's call it Bulltwit and Whatnot. The online ramblings of George Wallace and having some fun and just enjoying life. And it's just a good read. I want to thank you for having me this morning. And I don't know what to say.
That's good stuff. Well, George, if folks want to order the book and then keep up with those online ramblings,
it's called GeorgeWallace.net. Let me tell you how smart I am. Amazon takes half your money, and I'm not going to have them taking half my money. GeorgeWallace.net. GeorgeWallace.net. Let me do it in Morgan Freeman's voice. Get the book in GeorgeWallace.net. That was terrible, wasn't it? GeorgeWallace.net. Hello, everybody. This is Morgan Freeman. Get George's book, GeorgeWallace.net. It's close enough.
That's good stuff. Well, George, always great to visit with you, my friend. I look forward to sitting down with the book and hopefully catching up in the new year.
Let's do that. And when you come to Las Vegas, don't forget, I'm at the West Gate. You can go see the Blue Man, or you can come see the Black Man. It's all about laughter.
That's right. Well, George, good to talk to you. Have a great rest of your week.
See ya.
Our next guest, a good friend of the podcast and of the morning show as well, Meathead Goldwyn. And Meathead, it is hard to believe, but December, we can finally, in a few days, put 2020 behind us.
Oh, my. Can't come soon enough. Thank goodness.
And now, how was Thanksgiving for you guys?
We always enjoy a turkey. Usually it's a big family gathering. My wife has a large family here in the Chicago area, and we get together with them. This time it was just my wife and me, and we still did a turkey, a small one. And actually last night we had turkey pot pie with the leftovers, so we're still swimming in leftovers. How was yours?
It was good, and in true 2020 fashion, I changed it up completely from the normal, and I made a roast.
Oh, yeah. Beef roast.
Yeah, I just did a roast instead.
Meat lover.
You got that right. Now, obviously, December, folks making those final purchases for gift items, and thought maybe that'd be a great idea to talk about because, hey, grill lovers, they still get Christmas too, right?
Yeah, I think they count on it. This is when they expect you to get them the little gadgets and stuff that they don't normally spring for themselves. I sound like a broken record, and, I've been talking to you for years now, and I always keep reminding people that the most important tool you can have when you're cooking, either indoors or outdoors, is a good digital thermometer. And basically two flavors. There's your handheld rapid read, instant read thermometer that you just poke into that turkey breast or that steak, and it tells you exactly what the temperature is. And that's the most important thing in knowing when it's done. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. 130 to 135 is your perfect medium rare steak. You'll never be embarrassed serving an overcooked steak to your guests if you use a good handheld digital thermometer. Now, they also sell thermometers with a probe that you can insert into the meat and just leave the probe in there and walk away. And they come in handy for big things like roasts, turkey breasts, and some of them actually even have transmitters, so you can go in and watch the game and it'll transmit the temperature to you while you're watching the game. They're not expensive. Some of these remote read transmitter based are in the $50 range.
Wow.
And the rapid reads, you can get really good ones for $20 on up to $100. And the big difference is how quickly they read. The $100 one reads precisely in 2 seconds. The $20 to $30 range, it takes 5 seconds. So 3 seconds will buy $70, or $70 will buy you 3 seconds, I should say. And we've got an electrical engineer who tests thermometers. So if you're looking, go to our website. We don't sell any. We don't manufacture any. But we have ratings and reviews. Find something that's a good fit for your budget, and that's a good place to start.
Well, obviously, there's some grill lovers out there that the thermometer is not going to cut it for a gift. If we expand that price limit out a little bit?
Well, let's see. There's knife sharpeners. I mean, knives are pretty darn important to any cooking venture, indoors or out. And a good knife sharpener is a nice thing to have. You can buy some motorized ones, or you can buy the old-fashioned whetstones. It's a piece of stone. Actually, you get 3 stones. One is very, very smooth, fine grit. One is a little coarser, and one is even coarser still. That that rod that you have in your kitchen drawer along with your sharpening, along with your knives, is not a sharpener. It's called a honer, and it just is meant to straighten out the edge, because sometimes a sharp edge will get bent. But every now and then you need a sharpener with grit, which actually grinds down the edge and makes it sharpen. And you can get some nice knife sharpeners. Our top-rated knife sharpener is made by a guy named Ken Onion, and it's about $200.
Wow.
But it'll sharpen everything from knives to scissors to lawnmower blades. So a good knife sharpener is a nice thing to have.
Well, what is on your list of wishes for Christmas this year?
Oh, my big wish for Christmas this year is 2021. I want a vaccine. I have everything. That's my job. I have one of everything. I don't think there's anything out there. There are some pretty nifty high-end grills and smokers that I drool over. I mean, if you've got the money, and you want to, or if you've got a hardcore griller and smoker out there, there's a device called the Delca by a company named Nuke, Nuke, like nuke, and it's an Argentinian style grill. It's a grill that, how do I describe it? You usually cook on it without a lid. It cranks. You crank the. You use logs for fire, and you raise and lower the logs for temperature control. And it's very, very authentic Argentinian style grill. A lot of fun to play, especially if you like playing with fire. A lot of fun to play with. Of course, pellet smokers are now all the rage. There's a good variety of them on the market now. Oh, gosh. There must be 20 or 30 different brands. And one of my favorites is by Mac, M-A-K, not M-A-C, M-A-K. And they range from 700 to 2,000 pellet smokers. The beauty of pellet smokers is you got to plug them in, but they're digital and they're extremely precise. In fact, my pellet smoker, my Mac, is more steady, holds the temperature more steadily than my General Electric indoor oven does.
Wow.
So it's really set it and forget it, walk away. And they make a lovely, delicate smoke flavor. They're a lot of fun. They're not great at searing. So if you're a steak lover, you'll still want a charcoal grill or something that gets enough infrared radiation to sear beautifully. But these pellet smokers are just lovely, lovely tools.
And we seem to always talk about meat because, well, that number one on the grill, right?
Yeah.
But as we get to Christmas, are there any vegetable or maybe dessert type combos that you like to throw on the grill, especially looking through the snow?
Well, the cold weather doesn't stop me. I mean, I'm in a little cooler climate than you are, but we have a pitmaster club on AmazingRibs.com, and there's about 16,000 members, and they're hardcore like me, and a little snow never stops us. We're out there year round. I mean, I don't know if it's barbecue gear, but a good pair of boots and a heavy coat would be nice. There is something that is useful. They're making some very nice gloves now. Now, I'm not a big fan of mittens. Mittens, you don't have digital.
Right.
All your fingers aren't accessible. I like something with fingers. And some of them are made out of Kevlar type material with a silicon coating. There are some that are solid silicon, and I don't recommend those. They get slippery when wet. But there's, good old welder's gloves, which are made out of deer skin or cow skin. They're really good. You can pick up hot logs and hot coals with your bare hands, or not bare, with these gloves.
Please don't.
And those always come in handy, and they range in around the $50 price range.
So lots of different ideas. Of course, I know that you guys have a multitude, a plethora, I guess I should say, of reviews of grills and other products as well on the website as well.
Yeah, we've got a guy, Max Good, who works for us full time, and his job description is test grills and smokers. I mean, the guy works for me and he's got a better job than I have. But that's all he does. And he's tested and kicked the tires on maybe 400 or 500 grills and smokers. We have ratings and reviews on all of them. So it's a good idea to get a look at that or bookmark that so that when you're in the, Home Depot or wherever you shop, you can get a look at the official rating and see how it did in comparison by somebody who knows what he's talking about. And we have a gift guide on AmazingRibs.com that breaks down the gifts in $50, $50 to $200, and so on. So you can, poke around in the gift guide and see if you find something for the barbecue lover that you want to give a gift to.
And the last thing going into the new year, what would you put with your black-eyed peas off of the grill?
Black-eyed peas. That's fascinating. You should explain, or I'll explain that. It's an old tradition. I'm not sure where it started. Maybe but of serving peas, black-eyed peas or navy beans on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day for good luck. And of course, your standard companion is ham. Mm-hmm. Ham and beans are just great together. I've got a maybe 15 beans recipes on AmazingRibs.com, ranging from Texas style to your classic South Carolina style. And they all have to do with what kind of flavorings go in there and whether you put any bacon or ham or something, things like that in there. Do you do beans for New Year's? And if you do you have any idea how this tradition started?
As far as I know, the black-eyed peas for New Year's Eve started about 47 years ago. That's all I know. I don't know any farther than my lifespan as the history of black-eyed peas.
I get it. Yeah, I'll have to dig around. I think I've researched this once, but it's a fun tradition. It may go back to China. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. And I'm not a big bean cooker, so that's one of the things I've been gleaning from you over the while, because I never have messed with beans that much.
No, I'm not a big bean guy either. I'll tell you that. There's not much I won't eat though. But in fact, I've actually learned to like Brussels sprouts, which I hated with a passion for most of my life. But I tell you who's still on the bottom of my list is lima beans. I just cannot get close to lima beans.
My mom had a thing for lima beans and cornbread, and I love the cornbread, but hold the lima beans.
Me too. We're brothers by different mothers.
That's right. Well, Meathead, another thing, what would you say is your highlight for 2020? What has been the bright spot on the clouds?
Well, there aren't too many bright spots when you consider the death toll. But one of the things that I think that may be a byproduct of this awful coronavirus is that when people were told to stay home, they were forced to cook. And a lot of people who didn't do a lot of cooking, especially city dwellers who ate out most of their meals, we're forced to learn to cook. And we found almost all the culinary websites. I was talking with Christopher Kimball at Milk Street, which is a great culinary site. All of us saw a huge increase in traffic starting in spring as people started to say, well, I love barbecue, but I can't go to the barbecue joint, so I better start learning how to make my own, or not just barbecue, everything. So I think if there's any good spin-offs from this, it's that a lot of people are more comfortable with cooking and going forward may be more experimental, more adventurous. And that may help the restaurants when they come back, because they may find their audience better educated, more interested, and willing to try new things.
There you go. That is a bright spot. There you go. Now, Meathead, if folks have any questions about any of the stuff we talked about, and again, all the ratings, the website's still the best place. And
oh yeah,
don't want to forget the book either.
Constantly, I'm watching the website for questions. I answer many of them personally. I have a team of moderators, and these are not just volunteers. These are paid moderators who are experts. We're there almost 24/7. If you've got a question or a problem, we're happy to help.
All right. AmazingRibs.com. And Meathead, always great to visit with you, my friend. I wish you a very Merry Christmas, and look forward to talking to you in 2021.
I can't wait. See you then, pal.
Our next guest on the podcast, singer, songwriter, and it's a great opportunity to visit Bernie Nelson with us. And first off, Bernie, thank you for taking the time to be on the show.
It's my abdominal pressure.
Now, Bernie, you look like you're in full get away from public mode is where you're at.
Yeah, I ran into a buddy of mine, Walt Wilkins, last night. It's the first time I met him, and I had my overalls on, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm Bernie Nelson." He looked at me like, "Yeah, sure you are." You know.
Now, tell us a little bit about how you first got into music. Where did your first? Who was your first musical influence that made you know the music that really stirred the heartstrings, if you will?
I mean, I grew up in a musical family. You know, I had an uncle, my dad's brother-in-law, that picked guitar, and I don't know how he played with that cigarette between his fingers while he was fretting, you know, but recording, I mean. But my Uncle Floyd, what I loved about him, I bet he could play Your Cheating Heart 20 times a night and not care. And so I really got turned on to music through my uncle. And my mom and dad, of course, had a lot of country music and records when I was growing up. But I actually grew up in Michigan. So both Motown and Nashville had a big influence on me, between Bob Seger, Grand Funk, people like that, and listening to the Opry on Friday, Saturday nights. It was just a neat little combination that came together.
And I know as I've looked at different notes on your biography and notes in the past talking about your history at Music Row. And I've only been around Music Row for about the last 10 years. The first time I ever went down Music Row was 10 years ago. And I've seen how much it's changed over the last 10 years. But how much different is Music Row today than the Music Row you first came to know?
Well, I left Nashville in June of this year. And I love Nashville. It's been incredible to me. I got there, and I think was the perfect time. I mean, 70s, I'm sure, were amazing. But the mid-80s and the 90s, when I first got there, you would see people in the alleys, because that's between Music Row is 16th Avenue one way and 17th Avenue the other way. And there's an alley that runs between them. And you would see Cadillacs in the alley handing cassette tapes from one window to the other, as producers and writers and publishers would just pass each other in the alley and go, "Here, man, here's something for, George Strait, here's something for Conway Twitty." And it went like that. And then we had several hangs, late night hangs. We had a place called Third Coast where we'd all get together at. And then, of course, during the day, it was either the Longhorn or Rio Bravo or the Cooker. And you'd go in there and you'd run into everybody. I mean, George Strait and Garth and anybody. And I could write a whole book on people that I didn't really pay attention to that went on to be really big people. And I mean, I probably wrote 7 songs with Garth and never really paid it much mind, because when I was writing songs with Garth, he was still selling cowboy boots. So, and Kenny Chesney was my workout buddy, and he valeted my truck at one of my number one parties. So, you never know. And so today I pay attention to everybody. So
there you go. Now, how has the shift gone from Nashville to more of the Texas music scene? I know it's a whole different genre, musical style, a wide open genre, I guess you would say.
Well, Nashville always goes through a 5-year spin. LA and New York try to stick their nose into what is country music. And for the longest time, Nashville was really impressed with California and LA and what New York and LA had to say, because they wanted to be hip, and then producers like Jimmy Bowen came to town and started making digital records. And for the most part, it was good for country music, because people like Garth and the Dixie Chicks were selling 18, 20 million records per record and bringing a lot of new people to country music. So that was good. But in the same way that back in the 70s, people like Conway and the Dirt Band brought different genres of people into country music. But in the last 5 years, that 5-year cycle has taken a lot longer to work its way out. But people, I think, hit a wall with all the bro country, the Hey Girl, My Girl, Painted on Blue Jeans thing. And that's why Chris Stapleton became such a big success, because people were starving for something more authentic. And I think Chris, it's not like Chris just all of a sudden woke up one day and said, I want to be Chris Stapleton. He was in the Steel Drivers, had won Grammys and stuff like that. And when he finally turned loose with Broken Halo, I think that just kicked open a lot of doors for him. And then Tennessee Whiskey, of course, with Justin Timberlake. But the most country song I've heard on the radio lately is Lady Gaga and Cooper. I mean, that's a country song, It just, Shallows is a country song in the same way that the Pictures is with Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow.
And for you now to look back as from the time you went into Nashville to today, and to see folks inspired by your songwriting, and to maybe have a touch on the next generation of songwriters, how cool is that?
It's you don't think of yourself as an icon or a legend or whatever, but when I see 20-some-year-old kids that know the words to songs I wrote in 91, 92 before they were born, it's really nice, And I moved it to Texas because, to me, it's the new frontier. It's the new place to be anything you want to be in the music world. I mean, jazz, red dirt, Hispanic, push them all together if you want to. And Texas is open to that.
Now, how have you had to adapt in 2020 as far as writing and things like that are concerned?
I trust my co-writers, and I know that sounds kind of arrogant, but I had a couple of my really talented songwriters come to my place in Fredericksburg. They had both had COVID back in March or April, so they weren't any concern to me. And then there's Texas artists that I've become friends with who, for some reason, either look up to me or are anxious to write with me or are complimentary enough to let me write with them and pitch them songs. And so I put them with these Texas writers who are somewhere between 90s country and hip hop country. So we start with a 90s feel, and then they'll put a little bit of a newer edge on it. So it's very great bait to put on the hook for the Texas artists, because as much as they think they want to be 90s country, they really still want a piece of that current country sound in their music. So it's kind of cool when I get them with these guys. And I haven't done very many Zoom writings. I got some coming up with some hit writers in Nashville that just can't get out of town right now. So.
And who are among some of the Texas, some of the younger Texas artists that you see that maybe you see something special in as well?
There's just so many. I mean, I love the girls. Kylie, there goes my brain. There's a girl I work with out of Nashville, Kenzie Coppin. I think she's trying to make a dent in Nashville, and at some point she may come back here. I love her sound. She's like a Carly Pierce. But the kids I'm writing with here, Clay Hollis, he's cut a couple of my songs. Ben McPeak, we've been writing with Kyle Park here in town, and I know he cut 2 or 3 songs of mine recently. And there's a new group called Kinfo that have been really good about, they turned loose 4 singles of my songs. So, and, you know, I don't look at it like they get to write with me. It's the other way around. You know, I get to write with them, and it's really exciting for me.
Speak about how the relationship in a co-write, how important is relationship in the trust, like you said, of your co-writers?
Well, I take Kyle Park, for example. He's a really talented writer in the sense that Kyle knows when to say something. So many of the young writers would just sit back and go, yeah, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. And they'll go along with it. And then maybe nothing will happen with that song or whatever, but I'd rather have them say, hey, I really don't see me saying it that way, you know? So Kyle is a great editor, and he'll like, well, we shouldn't say that because blah, blah, blah. So when I have a whole list of titles in my phone that I come up with as I drive around the country, and when I decide to bring one of those ideas to the table, I'm very, very reluctant about who I bring it to the table with, because I've started songs with the wrong person in the past and had to call them a year later and say, hey, man, I'm just going to scrap what we had and go on with the song in another direction. And that's the proper way to resolve that problem. It's understood that, you know, if I bring the title in and it goes the wrong way, we can either rewrite it, or if you don't want to do anything with it, and I just move on with it. But a lot of these young writers, they're really good writers, really, really talented writers.
And how long is a typical write for you from from when you sit down with the idea and with the mindset to write? What's a time frame for you?
2, maybe 3 beers, somewhere in there. You know, depending on the inspiration factor.
That's awesome. Now, the latest single, "Make It Back to Texas." Where did was this part of the move back to Texas? Where did this inspiration come from?
It's kind of the other way around. I wrote this song with a buddy of mine who was living in Nashville, Leaper's Fork, years ago, and he and David Ball used to play this little club outside, just literally in front of a meat market in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee. And David and I and this other guy, David, started writing. And my friend David and I wanted to write a song for George Strait. And I'd done some research, so I knew he'd been in San Marcos and Hays County. So we pointed in that direction. And we wrote that song probably 6 years ago. And when I got ready to make this new album, I kept listening to it. And I thought, you know, I had played it out a bunch at a lot of my shows and got some great response from it. So I thought, well, let's put it on the record. And when it was time to pick a single, I ran it by a lot of radio people, and they all thought it was a good shot. But the biggest thing I had to learn back then was how to say cabrito. So
that's good stuff. Well, do you mind playing that one for us today?
I can. Like I said, I know most of the words.
That's a good thing.
There's a guy named Craig Wiseman. Craig wrote like 45, maybe 50 number ones now. And he and I had some hits and stuff together. But early on, we went out to a club in Nashville one time, and my friend Tony Arata was playing the dance up on stage. And it had been a big hit the year before. And I said, man, I wish I'd written that. And Craig turned to me and said, well, why don't we? We already know most of the words. Can you hear that?
Very good.
Hey, baby, thanks for the postcard. It sure looks cool in L.A. While with the stars in the ocean, there ain't no wonder why you up and moved away. Back here in San Marcos, watching the sun go down. Well, there ain't no smog and there ain't much traffic, and probably just slow you down. But you know I'll be right here if you ever make it back to Texas. Your mama says you're doing all right, says you're making new friends, but that you ain't made church in a month of Sundays. Baby, that just ain't Christian. Around here in Hayes County, we're hell on Saturday night. Next morning, drunk or sober, we're singing in the choir rock of ages, and I saw the light. And you know I'll be right here if you ever make it back to Texas. And we tube the Guadalupe, wear cowboy boots, and baby, they just ain't for show. And shining by beers, I would drink around here, except for an occasional Cuervo. And that's how we roll back here in Texas. And you know we still play by wheels on the road from San Antonio. And down at Green Hall, if we have a ball, ain't nothing like it. Here comes a little caprito. And that's how we roll back here in Texas. And I'll be right here if you ever make it back to Texas. Good stuff.
That is good stuff. That is good stuff. Now, Bernie, in the time that you've written and of all of the songs, does your favorite change based on occasion?
My favorite song?
Does it change at the time?
I mean, my set list changes. You know, being in Texas, I have the freedom to play covers, so that's kind of fun. And I've dug out some songs I haven't played in a long time, and so that's a blast. But my favorite song, you know, it'll probably be the same as a song called When Your Yellow Brick Road Turns Blue. And I wrote it, and Dan Seals had it on hold. And then Jimmy Bowen, the producer, cut it on John Anderson. And at the time, I was really bummed, you know, because I really wanted a Dan Seals single. So John put it out, and it went top 30 or something. And then it just laid around. And so now I look back and I go, I got a John Anderson cut. I got a John Anderson single, you know. And then 10 years later, the producer, Mac McAnally, who's an old friend of mine, cut it on a guy named Chris Ledoux. So now I have a Chris Ledoux cut. And Chris was the greatest. We wrote some songs together, and it was just a really good time to be in Nashville. And that song will just always probably be one of my favorites.
That's good stuff. Now, Bernie, if folks want to find out more information about the new single, the upcoming music, and, tour dates whenever those become available.
They can find me Gillespie County Jail. Usually I'm out for a little while. All the stuff is at Facebook. You know, you can find me on Facebook. I'm really easy to get along with on Facebook. And then my website, of course, is BernieNelson.com. Find me on Twitter, Instagram. I'm starting to hang out with those places a little bit more. But it's, you know, I'm old school, but the thing, if it wasn't for the people that opened the doors for me, I would never get, I mean, when I landed in Muscle Shoals in 79, my first session was the Swampers, you know, with Barry Beckett and Roger Clark, the guys that played on all the Skinner and Stones records, you know. And then I landed in Nashville, and the first person I met was Dave Loggins and Don Schlitz. And my first co-writer was Russell Smith from The Amazing Were the Maces. And I just was blessed to be around the biggest and the best, and then to become friends with all my Texas buddies, Leroy and Radney Foster. And and a fellow named Guy Clark and I became really good friends.
Well, Bernie, it has truly been a privilege to visit with you today, and I appreciate your time. Been a big fan of your music for many years, and hopefully once all this craziness gets out of the way, we can catch up face to face.
Yeah, I love playing Oklahoma. My old manager's in just outside of Tulsa, and a buddy of mine's from Yukon, Arizona, Oklahoma. I think that's where he's originally from. And, I don't see a whole lot of difference between Oklahoma and Texas. The talent from Oklahoma is just crazy. I mean, Vince and Ronnie and Reba, incredible amount of talent came out of it.
Thanks again for joining us for this 69th episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, anything else you'd like to know, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at GQ with Cam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, feel free to click the support tab and follow the instructions. If you have a special guest idea, email me gqwithcam@gmail.com. Thanks again so much to our good friend Brandon Allen, who penned and played the music for us on Good Questions with Cameron Dole. We're going to let him play us out. We'll be back with episode 70 coming up tomorrow.